A chicken was once put on trial for witchcraft. Sounds fake, right? But in 1474, in a real European court, this actually happened. And here's the twist: the chicken lost the case and got the death sentence. So what did it do? What made a normal egg-laying bird the center of a witch panic? Stick around, because it only gets weirder from here. This happened in Basel, Switzerland. A quiet town where people feared God, worked the land, and trusted signs from heaven. It was a world where a sneeze could be a warning from God and an odd-shaped egg that could send a chicken to court. Let's go back to a time when belief ruled over logic, and chickens weren't always safe. What life was like. Life in 15th century Europe was a harsh and superstitious grind. Most people were peasants tied to the land, waking up at dawn to till rocky soil, milk goats and pray they'd have enough to survive the winter. There were no clocks, only the rising sun and the sound of church bells. Children worked as soon as they could walk. Education, that was a luxury for priests and nobles. People rarely traveled far from home. The outside world was full of mystery and danger. They lived in wooden homes with dirt floors, shared with animals for warmth. Roosters crowed before sunrise, pigs wandered inside, and chickens, well, they were everywhere. The story begins: one morning, a farmer named Hans was tending to his flock when he noticed something odd. One of his hens had laid an egg, unusual in shape, smooth like a polished stone, perfectly round and completely yolkless. Now today, we know this can happen for natural reasons: age, stress, or a minor deformity in the reproductive system. But to Hans and his neighbors, it was unnatural. It didn't just break the laws of nature, it broke the laws of God. People whispered that the hen was possessed, that it was laying cock's eggs, a sign that a basilisk, a deadly serpent, could hatch and destroy them all. Someone said they'd seen the hen walk backward under a full moon. Another claimed it refused to roost with the others, always lurking alone in corners. Fear took root. And fear, in that era, grew fast. Within days, the town council called a meeting. The priest spoke of signs and portents. And the chicken? It was taken from its coop, locked in a wooden crate, and brought to trial. Court hearing. Now remember, this was a real legal proceeding. They didn't laugh it off or shoo the bird away. The town officials appointed a clerk to record the trial. Witnesses were called. And the charge? Producing an object of the devil and engaging in unnatural sorcery. The courtroom was packed. Locals stood shoulder to shoulder, murmuring prayers and clutching rosaries. Some came to see justice. Others came out of morbid curiosity. After all, how often do you see a chicken on trial? The farmer testified first. He swore he hadn't fed the chicken anything odd, hadn't seen her injured or sick. Just one morning, the egg. A widow said her cat vanished the same week and blamed the hen's curse. A baker complained that ever since the egg was found, his dough wouldn't rise. The priest declared it an abomination, reading scripture about beasts used by Satan. And throughout it all, the chicken sat there, blinking, clucking softly, scratching the floor of her crate. She couldn't defend herself, but no one cared. The people of Basel, the devil didn't need a loud voice, just a quiet vessel. Courts ruling. Finally, the court reached its verdict: guilty. They ruled that the hen had consorted with demonic forces, producing an egg meant to unleash evil. And the sentence? Death by fire. It was the same fate given to human witches. The symbolism was important: fire purified evil. So they built a small pyre outside the town, not far from the market square. Villagers gathered. Children clutched their mothers. The priest gave one last warning about the devil hiding in all places. And then the flames were lit. The chicken made no sound, no cry. But in the eyes of the townspeople, they had just won a battle against the devil himself. Smoke rose into the grey sky. To us, it was just a bird. To them, it was a monster. Aftermath. Life slowly returned to normal. The market reopened. Children played in the mud. But the fear? It never really left. And believe it or not, this wasn't rare. In medieval Europe, animals were often accused of crimes. Donkeys were punished for obscene behavior. Rats were ordered to appear in court and were given legal representation. Once, priests excommunicated beetles for destroying crops. They even put locusts on trial during famines, blaming them for divine punishment. Why? because when disasters struck, people needed answers, and if they couldn't find someone to blame, they'd settle for something. In a world full of uncertainty, fear gave people direction, even if that meant lighting a match for a chicken. So yes, a chicken was once tried and burned for witchcraft. It sounds insane now, but back then it was deadly serious. Because when fear rules over facts, logic is the first thing to burn. And if you thought that was wild, wait till you see what jobs people actually did back then. Check out our next video, 7 medieval jobs that were worse than death. Trust me, you'll be glad you don't live in the 1400s.